if a bureaucrat goes to jail, right, it's limited to the bureaucrat. If the judge goes to jail, it is prosecuted. Every litigant will believe that every judge is corrupt. Problem waqf ki ye nahi hai. The problem with waqf is there are encroachments and there is misuse of waqf property. That you have waqf property, the guy rents it out. The mutawalli there, he makes money. What happens is if the source of the document is the court itself, then people tend to believe it. Whether it's true or not is something that will be decided later. So it's a dangerous precedent according to me. अगर हम सत्ता में होते तो हम इंजीनियरिंग और मेडिकल किताबों में हम तमिल में ट्रांसलेट कर दें. What kind of statement is this? तो आप अगर ट्रांसलेट कर लोगे तो आपको मिलेगा क्या? क्या मिलेगा उससे? The government is using this as an opportunity to bring back the NJAC, which was struck down by the court. Nobody is willing to part with their power, neither the court nor the government. Nobody is thinking of the institution and the country. I believe in the ideology, I believe in an inclusive India. I believe in India where we should not be bickering about language, color, creed, caste. I think my only identity in this country is that I am a citizen of this country. Everything else comes later.
Good afternoon, everybody. We have with us someone who does not need an introduction, even in this newsroom. Former Congress leader.
And you छोड़ दो ना, introduction छोड़ दो. Leave it. Let's not waste time.
So we'll not waste time and we'll get straight to the. So for the last week or so, the conversation is around the Delhi High Court judge, the accusation is that there's been cash found in his official residence. The Supreme Court has initiated an in-house inquiry procedure against him. This raises questions on probity of judges, larger questions on judicial independence. What do we take from the incident? How do we see what is happening?
First of all, I know nothing about the incident. I don't think anybody knows. Till such time as the inquiry is completed, I don't think that any responsible citizen of India should comment on it. Nor should the bar take positions like this that we will go on strike because you assume that somebody is guilty. And I hope this country continues with that principle that till a person is found guilty, he is innocent. And in this case, even the inquiry has not been completed, and this is a serious matter. So therefore, I don't think that I should be answering any question on the merits of the case, which I will not do.
Let me try.
But the issues are very serious. Issues relating to the judiciary. I'm not talking about this case or that case. There are three kinds of problems in the judiciary, according to me. One is the issue of financial corruption. Now, and if you get to know one incident, that is tip of the iceberg, right? And quite frankly, by and large, the bar knows, even the judges know, right, who is what. Just as the judges know and the bar knows in the bar who is what. Right? Just as journalists knows in the bar who is what, and just as we know who is what in journalism. Right? So we all know, and yet you are not willing to do anything about it. So there is one issue of financial corruption, and there is no mechanism to deal with it. Every time an incident happens, there is you take the incident as it is and you give a reaction. It's not an institutional reaction, right? Whoever then is the Chief Justice, whoever it is, right? It is the reaction of that person. When Gogoi happened, now that was not a case of financial corruption, that's the other kind. In other words, where there is some alleged sexual misconduct. That's second kind. Third kind is Shekhar Yadav, when there is an open alignment with a particular ideology. And this brings in Bandopadhyay in West Bengal, right? It brings in Shekhar Yadav. And the financial corruption brings in a lady judge, Nirmal Yadav. So these are three kinds of things that happen in the judiciary. And if you've seen over the years, the judiciary has not responded to these issues institutionally. And that's really very disturbing, because if you do not institutionally respond to it, then the chairman of the Rajya Sabha or the political party which is in power will say, we want the NJAC to be revived, we want to decide who should appoint judges, you people have failed to deal with these issues, as if the NJAC has anything to do with the allegations that have been made. So this is the real problem. And remember, the expression used in Article 124 is proved misbehavior. It is nothing to do with financial, not limited to financial issues, right? So proven misbehavior. So how do you prove that misbehavior? That is, you are expecting an institution, members of the institution to behave in a certain manner, which is expected of those who decide the fate of citizens of this country. In other words, they have to be just above board in every sense of the word. And therefore, why are we just having this debate on this issue when we should have been having these debates much earlier as to why the institution is not responding to their own failings in dealing with issues that reduce the credibility of the public in the institution, and that's very serious.
So, I have two questions, but in this incident with Justice Varma,
I'm not going to talk about it, so don't ask the question.
Let me ask the question and then you can decide that.
Okay.
The Supreme Court there is a fact-finding report by the Delhi High Court Chief Justice, which is a preliminary report, of course, but he does recount the sequence of events, and he says prima facie he believes that there should be a larger probe.
That's fine. What's fine? Should be a larger probe. There is a probe. It's fine. No problems with that.
But isn't that not knowing anything? That is something that this is a Chief Justice.
Isn't that not knowing anything? He wants a larger probe. You have a larger probe. What's knowing? What do you know about that? You only know that there's a larger probe. Is there anything more you know about it? At least I don't.
But this is also the first time that the court put out these documents in public domain. This has been...
Well, that's their wisdom. That's in their wisdom. They put something out in public domain. Whether that was right or wrong, time will tell.
So
because what happens is, if the source of the document is the court itself, then people tend to believe it. Whether it's true or not is something that will be decided later. So it's a dangerous precedent, according to me.
So what should be the institutional response because like you said...
The institutional response should be a mechanism that the institution must put in place in writing as to what should happen, right? And because under the Constitution, they have really no powers except Parliament impeaching the person. So if 100 members of Parliament of Lok Sabha or 50 of Rajya Sabha don't move a resolution, you can't impeach the judge. So therefore, all you can do, at least the limited powers that they've given to themselves, is not to assign work to the judge. But look at the irony. Even when Ramaswamy was exonerated, they still didn't give him work. So they don't go by their own standards. Right? So it's for them to think how to deal with it. Quite frankly, this should be decided in consultation with the bar. The bar, because we know. See, we know as much about judges as they know, right? So there should be a broad-based committee which discusses these issues, and then you have a mechanism to deal with this issue. If something happens, what should be the response? And quite frankly, you see, in an ordinary case of financial corruption, right, it doesn't deal with the institution. If I am a bureaucrat and I've found, in possession of money which I have not disclosed, it's one thing, because the entire bureaucracy as an institution is not tainted. But if a judge is alleged to have done something like that, it's the institution that gets tainted. So the response should be not like a response to an ordinary act of criminal misappropriation. You get the point? Therefore, the damage to the institution is far greater if a bureaucrat goes to jail right? It's limited to the bureaucrat. If the judge goes to jail, it is prosecuted. Every litigant will believe that every judge is corrupt. That's the danger. And we have to be very careful, both as journalists, as citizens, as lawyers. We have to be very careful when we start doing these things. And remember, I argued Veeraswamy's case. There, the sanction was given by the Supreme Court to prosecute the judge. Of course, he passed away, nothing really happened. And that was a case of disproportionate assets, disproportionate to his known sources of income. Now, therefore, you cannot prosecute anybody till sanction is given. And the sanction is given by the Chief Justice. So the Chief Justice should be having full knowledge of the facts. That's why a preliminary inquiry. Once he has full knowledge of the facts, then the collegium decides that I will grant sanction. Right? It's at that stage that they find that there is something to be done with the gentleman concerned. We are now decided already that the gentleman is corrupt without that stage having arrived. And I think that's very, very, very sad for the institution. Because let's look at it this way. Whichever way, supposing the judge is found to be innocent, what will be the charge? That you protected the judge. And if he is found to be guilty, what will the litigant say? In every case that he loses, that the judge has taken money. You cannot win. The institution cannot win. What happened? This is the sad part. So if you put out these things in the public domain, the institution is already lost. That's sad.
But this in-house inquiry mechanism has been developed over the
What
years.
developed?
It's not as
There's
if
what happened in Gogoi's
The
case?
Justice
Was
Ganguly's
there
case.
transparency in Gogoi's case? Did anybody put out anything?
no, he
No.
set up his own bench
I'm
and
asking you a
decided
question.
over
You're a
that.
journalist. Was anything put out? The judge, whether he's right or wrong, whether Gogoi did it or not, I don't care. I cannot even pass judgment. What happened in Yadav's case, Shekhar Yadav's case? Where is the transparency there? Did anybody put out? This very court. So when you talk about transparency, you can't possibly be selective about it. Then you say there's an institution. There is no mechanism. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Where is that mechanism?
No, the Chief Justice is, the committee will look at these allegations.
Yeah, this is mechanism in this case.
No, that's true.
I am
but
talking about an institutional mechanism. There's none. If there were, in Shekhar Yadav's case, it would have been transparent. Gogoi's case, it would have happened. Nirmal Yadav's case, something would have happened. Kannan's case, it was contempt, so they sent him to jail. That was their judicial power. So all this is very, 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 see, this is the only institution that can protect us. If this, in the eyes of the public, gets tainted, there's nothing left in democracy.
Apurva, if you are moving from that question, I want to answer it not from the court angle or judicial angle. So I was in Parliament that day. So we were not just me, others were also watching. I don't know whether I didn't put it in the right way. The way the government's response, or even like this issue has come up in the morning. Then a member is raising, the vice president is making a observation. Then again the government is cool. Then the opposition is accusing the government of trying to divert the attention from this issue because they want to raise this issue because another, according to them, trivial issue has come up. So what do you think about, there is also a charter, it's in the charter that this could be a ploy to resume the discussion on NJAC.
No, it's not certainly a ploy. Alleged incident is certainly not a ploy, but it is being used as an opportunity by the government to now say, now is the time to strike, now is the time to take this into our own hands. And according to me, some parties raised these issues as if this represented the truth, and they played into the hands of the government. Right? I don't want to name the party. They played into the hands of the government. So the government says that you yourself say, no, let's have a consensus on the NJAC, let's get together, let's make sure. So the government is using this as an opportunity to bring back the NJAC, which was struck down by the court. In the fact of the matter is, whether you have the NJAC or you have the collegium system, still there is an element of again, a mechanism to deal with these issues. You will have the same problems in any institution. In fact, my personal suggestion is that you have, because the whole problem starts with the process of appointment, right? If you get the right kind of man on the bench, he will ultimately deliver. So you have to fix that. How do you fix that? You have a committee in which you have, the government has a very important stake in the appointment of judges. So you must have the government in the committee. You must have judges in the committee. Then you must nominate people from the bar in the committee. Then you must nominate journalists in the committee. Then you must nominate citizens in the committee, right? Now let's have, say, a committee of 5, 7, 8 people, 9 people, let's assume. So now you have a list of vacancies arising in Gujarat, in Allahabad, in Chandigarh or whatever. So you know when a judge is going to retire. Then what you do is you carry out an in-house, within the committee, supposing you want to appoint a judge in Gujarat, who are the guys who are good, who are young, who are good at a certain age? You don't tell anybody about it. You ask the judge, informally, judges, ke kaun achhe hain yahan? They'll give you a couple of names. You ask some other person, kaun achhe hain? So you will get 5, 6 names. Then you watch them, because the vacancy will be 2 years down the road. Then you watch their conduct without telling him, right? And then you will get 1 or 2 nominations, right? Then this committee, each high court, decides who are the good people who will be appointed. This committee makes recommendation to the government, right? Because the judge will also be represented. And the government, if the 3 names are recommended, government has the right to choose 1 or 2. If the vacancies are 5, government, and you can send 10 names, government can choose 5. But you will have good names, right? But nobody is willing to part with their power. Neither the court nor the government. Nobody is thinking of the institution and the country and the confidence of the people in the institution, right? This is what should be done. It's not difficult. This is not some rocket science.
So, but after the 2015 verdict, the NJAC in the form that it was brought in the 99th Amendment, how can the government bring it back? Is there enough?
No, they can bring it back in another form. If Parliament passes a law with just tinkering with that act, the court will be on the defensive. So, but anyway, that's another story. I'm just giving you a solution. There's no point just criticizing the system without giving a solution. I'm trying to give you a solution. And in fact, I put it to some of my colleagues and they agreed with it. It's easy. It's easy. We know who the good lawyers are in every high court. See, there's the other more serious problem. I did some study, some investigation, that who are the judges who actually go to the High Court? And I found that almost 50% are people who are government pleaders. Okay? Now, how do you become a government pleader? If 50% people who become High Court judges are government pleaders, then the lawyer who is practicing will say to himself, yaar, pehle main government pleader ban jao. He may have no practice. What will he do? He'll go to the party in power. Ki mujhe aap standing counsel laga do. Make me this, make me that. Right? So he becomes a government pleader. Then he is extremely loyal to the government in every case. Fights as if his life is in danger. Then the government gets the message, see, he's a guy who is with us all the time. Let's recommend him as a judge. Then that judge is appointed in the High Court, committed to that ideology, committed to that government. Then he comes to Supreme Court. And in the High Court, it becomes a Bangopadhyay, and in Supreme Court, it becomes somebody else. This is the problem. Now, who doesn't know about it? Nobody's. I mean, this is something I have done myself, some research. If the source of recruitment is bad, the outcome will be bad. So you have to deal with the source of recruitment.
So the groundwork for this NJAC, the start-down was done by the UPA government. Although the bill was passed when the BJP came to power, and even when the bill was passed, there was an overwhelming consensus. But now it seems most of the opposition parties are not in favor of a similar experiment. You don't speak for the entire opposition, but what is the thing?
No. See, I have a different take to all this. You see, take PMLA. It was introduced by us. Right? Take Criminal Procedure Code. It was introduced by the British, and then of course we took it on. Right? You take any law in this country, the real issue is who uses that law, who implements that law. Right? A police officer under the Code of Criminal Procedure, under BNS now, right, can misuse this very statute. Right? He can arrest an Imran Pratapgarhi, right? For what? For a poem. I just argued that case and got the order.
Yeah.
This is a new law, right? They say this is a great law. So this whole thing is a bogus debate. You can have any institution in this country, unless the people who man it believe in the responsibilities that they have to solemnly discharge. You will all such institutions will fail. That's why Parliament is in disarray, and as an institution is in complete disarray. Right? You've seen the CEC. The less said about it, the better. You see the office of the governor. Right? They are more like the long arm of the government.
The NJAC judgment leaves us with this, that the primacy of the judiciary in appointments is part of judicial independence, which is basic structure. Do you see that changing when a new version of NJAC comes in?
No. It all depends, no? It all depends. See, what do you mean by primacy of the
judicial veto?
Judicial veto, right? No, there is a judicial veto here also, but does anybody listen to it? There are judges who are transferred and then they are not transferred. Right?
Yeah.
So that means there is a veto not by the judiciary. Right? So there is veto happening everywhere. This is the problem, no? It's not institutionalized. This is the problem. That look at the kind of transfers that take place. One transfer is that I want you to bring you as Chief Justice. So if you are number 9 here, I'll get you as number 2 there. Right? Because I worked with you in the other court, you're a fine judge. I don't dispute that. You should be coming to Supreme Court, but if you're number 9 here, you'll never be able to rise. So I transfer you to get you at number 2, and then I'll bring you. Right? Within my tenure.
Yeah.
That's one kind of transfer. Then a good judge being transferred for the purposes of elevating him. The other is that there is something, that people know.
Yeah.
Right? So let me transfer him out.
The punitive transfer.
Punitive or non-punitive, nobody says it's punitive, but you just transfer him. And so that's the other kind of transfer. Now, when you transfer such a judge, whose reputation is quote-unquote somewhat suspect, without proof, then the court to which he goes is not happy. Right? And he is also not happy. The court to which he goes is not happy. So transfer is not a solution. If you find that this guy is you suspected of doing this thing, get an investigation done and do what you have to do. It will send a signal. It will send a signal to the institution. Hey, look, you do this. We're not going to transfer you, but we're going to take action. For that also, you have to have a mechanism.
Yeah.
Right? Problem is, if you give that kind of investigation to the government, they'd love to misuse it. So you have to then an investigative mechanism within the Supreme Court system. That's the other thing you need. So lots of things can be done.
सर आप इंस्टीट्यूशनल मैकेनिज्म की बात कर रहे थे 2009-10 में बड़ा डिबेट हुआ था, डिस्कशन हुआ था अबाउट एक्ट 97 रेजोल्यूशन ऑफ सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ डिक्लेयरिंग एसेट्स एंड लायबिलिटीज ऑफ जजेस. सो उस समय थोड़े दिन के लिए क्या कुछ साल के लिए सारे सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजेस ने डिक्लेयर कर दिया था और पब्लिक डोमेन में डाल दिया था. बट लास्ट ईयर वो सब विथड्रॉ कर लिया. नाउ देयर इज अ लिस्ट ऑफ 28 जजेस हु हैव डिक्लेयर्ड देयर एसेट्स, बट एसेट्स पब्लिक डोमेन में नहीं है. उसके बाद 7 हाई कोर्ट्स में देश में हमें लगता है 800 के करीब जजेज होंगे हाई कोर्ट्स के, और 100 से भी कम लोगों के अवेलेबल है पब्लिक डोमेन में. जस्टिस वर्मा का मैं रात में देख रहा था वेबसाइट, हाई कोर्ट के दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट के 7 जजेज का अवेलेबल है, जिसमें जस्टिस वर्मा का पीडीएफ जब हम क्लिक करते हैं लिखा है डमी फाइल. सो देयर इज नथिंग, जस्ट डमी फाइल. So should there not be a uniform policy?
वो ठीक है. I don't think.
Like sir, आपका means electoral candidates का सब कुछ public
मैं
domain में है.
यही कहने वाला था मैं.
Ministers का public domain में है, bureaucrates का public
यही
domain
भाई
है. So
साहब,
why not?
यही तो कहने वाला था मैं. आपके सहमत हूँ मैं.
आप कहिए ना.
हाँ, इत्तेफाक नहीं कर रहा. आपसे सहमत हूँ कि होना चाहिए, पर उससे होगा क्या? अच्छा, मैंने पब्लिक डोमेन में ला दिया, ठीक है ना, और क्या तो पूछने लगेगी आपने एसेट कहाँ से लिया, इंक्वायरी शुरू हो जाएगी. द प्रॉब्लम विद दैट इज अगेन यू कैन मिसयूज दैट वेरी इंफॉर्मेशन टू डिस्ट्रॉय द इंस्टीट्यूशन. ये भी प्रॉब्लम है, बिकॉज यू आर नॉट डीलिंग विद ऑर्डिनरी. देखो, हम तो मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट, हमें तो करना ही पड़ता है, वो करना भी चाहिए, और हमें तो आरोप रोज़ के रोज़ लगते हैं. हमें मीन्स नॉट मुझे, बट जनरली आरोप लगते रहते हैं ना. हाँ, और आरोप लगते हैं. वी हैव टू डील विद इट बिकॉज वी आर पॉलिटिशियंस. बट अगर आप किसी इंस्टीट्यूशन के ऊपर ऐसे करने लगे तो वेयर विल इट एंड? तो आई एग्री दे शुड बी डिक्लेयर्ड, ये बात नहीं है. बट इफ़ यू से दैट पब्लिक शुड हैव द राइट टू फाइंड आउट फ्रॉम द जज हाउ ही एक्वायर्ड दैट एसेट, दैट्स नॉट द जॉब ऑफ द पब्लिक, बिकॉज यू डैमेज द इंस्टीट्यूशन. क्योंकि फिर जो आप लिखोगे विल बी बिलीव्ड बाय हिम और हर. फिर उससे वो वो बेचारा तो बोल नहीं सकता. पॉलिटिशियन में तो बोल सकते हैं, हम तो कह भी सकते हैं कि ये गलत है, वो बोल भी नहीं सकते. तो थोड़े से इसमें नुआंसेस हैं.
Sir, just 2 short questions. One, what do you think about the whole controversy over the 3-language formula? Because you've also been minister there. Do you think there should be a 3-language formula, or do you believe in what the DMK is saying, that it's a back to Hindi?
See, I don't take sides on this, but I believe that the 3-language formula has not worked on the ground. I'd say I'm a Punjabi. My mom will speak to me in Punjabi. So that's a language I will learn. I will go to school and I'll be taught Punjabi. Now, if I want to talk to a non-Punjabi, let's put it this way, and that's the beauty of this country, I'll have to talk in a language that he knows or she knows and I know, right? So there will be a link, but depends geographically where you're situated. If it's the Northeast, it is English. They will not learn something else, right? And if it's Tamil Nadu, it will be English. And whoever wants to learn Hindi should learn Hindi. So I don't, this thing that look, I will make, अगर हम सत्ता में होते तो हम इंजीनियरिंग और मेडिकल किताबों में हम तमिल में ट्रांसलेट करते. What kind of statement is this? तो आप अगर ट्रांसलेट कर लोगे तो आपको मिलेगा क्या मिलेगा उससे? It's absurd for leaders of this nation to say these things, isn't it? Your GDP in this country is based on what? 60% of your GDP, 59% of 55 to 59% of GDP comes from what? From the service sector. And what language does the service sector use? English. So your wealth comes from using English language, but you want to do everything in Hindi. Does that make sense to you? Leave people alone. Language There are far more important issues that are facing this country than the three-language formula. There is AI, right? There is lack of skills. You know, they wanted to make 400 million kids skilled under the skill mission. You don't have even 40. You have failed. So there are no skills. Look at education. Look at the state of education in this country. Look at health. Right? Look at stunted children. Look at anemic women, mothers. Look at look at the disparity in wealth. Look at your MSME sector that has been completely destroyed. Right? Now that with the tariff wars, these are issues that impact the tomorrow of our country. And you're talking about the three-language formula, and hours are wasted in Parliament talking about the three-language formula because the next year will be elections in Tamil Nadu. Kya hai ye? And quite frankly, I mean, I make a confession. जब मैं उत्तर प्रदेश की हिंदी सुनता हूँ तो मुझे नहीं समझ आती. मुझे तो हिंदुस्तानी समझ आती है. Right? Your national language should be Hindustani. The art of communication is the ability to make the other person understand. यही है ना? That's the art of communication. अगर मैं ऐसी लैंग्वेज में बोलूँगा जो मतलब के जो गूढ़ हिंदी संस्कृत हिंदी में बोलूँगा कुछ नहीं कोई समझेगा. So that's also not, Sanskrit is not a linked language, good Hindi is not a linked language. It is Hindustani which is a linked language, which is a mixture of Hindi and Urdu. The other day there was a matter in the High Court of Delhi where direction was given that no FIR should have an Urdu word. Was it? So FIR ko samjhega kaun if you don't have an Urdu word? There was a direction given. So this is the state of my country. That issues that have nothing to do with the future of India are main national issues.
So one more matter that is just waiting to erupt is this whole delimitation controversy.
Yeah.
Diametrically opposite arguments. What do you think about that?
Let's limit that controversy to an answer that, you know, this is a very, very controversial thing, and again, it's full of political dynamite. That's what it is.
आपके दो रिफॉर्म्स एजुकेशन HRD मिनिस्टर रहते हुए बड़े याद आते हैं जो लगभग पलट गए.
See, this is too volatile an issue, right? Too divisive an issue, right? And therefore, there are too many challenges in front of us as a nation that this should not be given any priority.
So, on the legislative agenda, the other big thing is, of course, the Waqf bill. The government's argument, and that's something even reflected in the bill that they brought in, is that there is a lot of encroachment of government land, and which is then categorized as Waqf.
See, again, it's a very, very difficult, I mean, actually people don't understand what a Waqf is, right? If supposing I have a piece of property, and that property over the years, my own property, is being used as a school, it becomes a Waqf. So, Waqf really is people have charitable land for charitable purposes or institutions for charitable purposes. Waqf is just another way of doing the same thing. ठीक है ना? कोई वहाँ अब आपके लैंड में कोई नमाज पढ़ रहा था, 50 साल नमाज पढ़ता रहा, it becomes a waqf. वो लैंड तो आपका ही है ना. प्रॉब्लम वक्फ की ये नहीं है. The problem with waqf is there are encroachments. And there is misuse of waqf property. That you have waqf property, the guy rents it out. The mutawalli there, he makes money. You have to deal with that issue. But you can't sort of throw the baby with the bathwater. That's what they're trying to do.
But
there's a whole program of mine, and they'll say, and
but the government's argument is really
listen to it, you'll get the right answer.
But the government's argument is really the other way around, that government land is encroached.
So how do you say it is government land?
That is...
How do you decide it's government, say it is government land. Who will decide it's government land?
No, my question was about the Places of Worship Act, though, there is currently a stay on petitions under it. But every other day a shrine is coming under question, a tomb here, or a makabra there, or whatever.
But that's politics, no?
So I mean, therefore, there are discussions about this act. Do you think this will become a storm going forward?
They want to make it a storm. Not as you think I become a storm. The powers that we want to make it a storm because it's politically profitable for them. That's what they want. I mean, they want this country.
Will there be pressure to change it really?
Change what?
The act, the amendment.
To repeal the places of worship.
No, that will be decided by Supreme Court now. Where is the question of repealing? It's been decided, it will be decided. It has been challenged, no?
But the government hasn't made it stand clear whether they will defend the law or not.
Why
So
would the government make it stand clear? Not necessary.
But will
Government
it
will
come
hope.
under stress,
Gov-
right?
Huh?
The interpretation of the law will come under question, right?
Actually, again, there are a lot of nuances in this. I've done deep work on the Places of Worship Act. So it's a very, very complicated issue. What's a place of worship which should not be demolished? You have say Ajanta Ellora. Should it be demolished? No, it shouldn't be demolished. No? So there are archaeological sites. Right? Some of these constructions are archaeological sites. They may be mosques, but they are archaeological sites. Should they be demolished? So it's a far more complicated, nuanced debate. There's no way to deal with our people and our polity. Yeah, it's a very sad state of affairs.
But the lawyer Sibal, what would you say if the government does not defend the constitutionality of the law? Then how does the Supreme Court?
Why are we here?
uphold it?
We are here, no? We will talk. We'll make our submissions in court. Don't worry about it. At the moment, there's a stay, so it's okay.
Mr. Sibal, it's been what, almost 3 years since you left the Congress,
Yes.
and you were part of a group which everyone called the G23,
Yeah.
and you called for internal reforms
Yes.
within the party.
Yes.
My question is, why do you think, others in that group, since you walked out, why do you think the others in the group don't speak out?
Pehli baat to, I have never commented about the Congress party ever since I left the Congress party.
No, that.
Right? I've never commented, and I don't intend to. I have been grateful to the Congress for what they gave me, right? It is because of the Congress that I was recognized as a politician. It is because of the Congress that I was a minister in the government. It is because of the Congress that I was able to discharge responsibilities in the government. So everything that came my way in politics is because of the Congress. I may have had my differences of opinion with the Congress, right? But the fact of the matter is that I will never criticize after I have left the Congress party, and I stick to that. And I will not criticize my colleagues. I have never done it. I don't think that's the way any politician should function. Right? It is our duty to do something for this country, and to be involved in petty politics, criticizing him in Parliament, outside Parliament, is not the function of a politician, if you ask me. But the way of the world is different. From the United States to across the world, this is what is happening. Why should you be indulging in petty things like this when the nation is crying for change, crying for you to spend your time trying to do something for tomorrow? I consider it completely irresponsible if I were to talk about these things.
So why did you not join a party? Why did you choose
I
to
made
be
a
an
public.
independent?
Because I am a congressman still. I believe in the ideology. I believe in an inclusive India. I believe in India where we should We not be bickering about language, color, creed, caste. I think my only identity in this country is that I am a citizen of this country. Everything else comes later. And we are all citizens of this country, whether we are Muslims or Christians or whatever. And our identity should only be limited, as far as the state is concerned, to my being a citizen. But the state doesn't look at it like that. They look beyond your being a citizen. And that's the source of all, what should I say? That's the source of all trouble that is brewed in this country, which has destroyed the very fabric of India. I mean, this is not what the Constitution says. Incidentally, this is the other thing. My only law is the Constitution. There is no other law for me. But for all these people, there are different kinds of laws. Therefore, destroy Aurangzeb's this thing. What is all this going on? What does it get you? Except, garnering votes in the ultimate analysis. So, I'm sorry, I won't answer that question.
So, you're a politician still in the opposition space. So, after the Lok Sabha elections, the India bloc, which they claim managed to bring the BJP down to 240 because of some seat sharing adjustments in some states, it's kind of dormant. The leadership has not met. You don't.
No, I'm very troubled by that. I'm very troubled by that, because in the absence of an opposition, you will have this government do what they want. Unlimited discretion. We talked about it, and actually, I believe. I mean, if you want to be a real India bloc opposition, then first thing you must do is to have a secretariat. Right, first thing. In that secretariat, you must have a convener who will be talking to every political party and who will be discussing only national issues as far as the India bloc is concerned. What's your view on delimitation? What do you think of the Places of Worship Act? What's your view on the 3-language formula? All that. National issues. Now, once that happens, there will be amount of cohesiveness, and then you have to appoint one chief spokesperson and 3 other spokespersons, right, who will talk on national issues. So supposing Indian Express wants to get the view of the opposition on this, on the India bloc, go to the chief spokesperson. He will tell you what our position is. Okay, that's at the national level. Then at the local level, right, you may have a Mamta Banerjee, you may have Mr. Stalin, or you may have somebody, Thackeray-ji or Mamta-ji, raise an issue, right? And in that issue may be inconsistent with some of the partners in the India bloc, right? So she should be allowed to raise that issue, and nobody should say anything contrary to it, because that's her domain, or that's Mr. Stalin's domain or Mr. Thackeray's domain, right? And then their spokesperson at that level should deal with it, right? Then you should be constantly in touch with non-political players in the country. There are lots of NGOs who are working for the good of India. Lots of NGOs working for the good of India. Lots of great journalists who believe in the inclusive India. You should bring them on board, right? In other words, have an outreach program to bring in all stakeholders who have stake in the future of the nation. So you have to have a mechanism in place. But if you are perceived to having unblocked yourself, then you'll be in this mess.
But then whose responsibility is it to, bring it out of this state of coma, or this dormant state? It's
I hope it's only a comma and not coma.
It's a responsibility of the largest party.
I don't want to say anything. I think it's the responsibility of those who are part of the bloc to arrive at a consensus, but I'm just giving you a solution. I mean, and this is not the first time I've said it. And the problem with that, the other problem is that they don't want to even reach out to some of us who are with them. That also they don't want to do.
And one more question. In March 2023, you launched a non-electoral political platform, INSAF. What happened to
Insaf ke sipahi.
What happened to
No, the question is, I couldn't do insaf to it because I was trying to do insaf to other people in court. I didn't have the time, but we're still working on it. I will certainly do it. And then, of course, I started some other stuff also.
Sir, as somebody who's been rooted in Delhi, I mean, your politics, you've been an MP as long as you have, and you started from here, and
No, I start from Bihar.
you've represented
Local, I mean, Lok Sabha politics from Delhi.
from Delhi. So you represented Chandni Chowk of all places.
Yes.
Doesn't get more Delhi than that.
Mm.
So how do you view the recent Delhi Assembly election results? And if you were to comment on why, the Aam Aadmi Party completely sort of going out of the narrative.
See, I tell you, the most important thing in politics, my mind, I may be dead wrong, is consistency. Most important thing in politics. Yeah. And if you deviate from that, you'll be exposed. So the BJP is great, to their credit, their consistency is hate politics. And they were never deviated from it. That's why they have succeeded also. Right? So you have to be consistent. If I, for example, were to join, why did I say I will never join another party? The moment I join another party, there will be inconsistency in my political position. Say, how do you justify that you are agreed to the ideology of TMC? Yesterday you were a congressman, or the Samajwadi Party, or some other party, just for a Rajya Sabha seat. Never, never, never. So I made it clear that I will not join any other political party. So if politicians are not consistent, you say that I don't want to go into politics. This is just a movement for the people. ठीक है ना? And then you join politics. You say I will not have any security, then you have huge security. Then you say I live in my government house, then you don't live in your government house. So you think people are fools? This is the problem. Wherever you will find politicians at the individual level and political parties at the institutional level being inconsistent, they have a problem. So if you are Ram Mandir program, they are consistent. On hate politics, they are consistent. On decimating this democracy, they are consistent. They are consistent about all the things they should not be consistent about. Because of that, they are successful. We are inconsistent with everything that we should be consistent about. That is why we are failures. That's the answer to your question.
Something related to this, you said you're still a congressman at heart. I mean, not to talk
I
about
defend the Congress party, many a time more than they do themselves.
So, not commenting on the Congress per se, but what's wrong with this performance? What do you think went wrong with its performance in the Delhi Assembly election?
Whose performance?
The Congress's performance.
What's wrong? What's right? What's right? What's right? If you don't have your DCCs in Haryana for 11 years, what do you expect? What results do you expect? You've got to put your act in order.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for answering more questions than we asked you. Thank you. We're very grateful.
It's fun.